Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Zero Bytes podcast. And as usual, joining me is Jesse.
Hello. Okay,
Yep,
cool. Yeah,
cool.
so yeah, it's been a crazy week. I got to try some stuff that I'm excited to talk about this week for my topic. So really glad to have a chance to blab about that.
All right, we're gonna start with that. Today's episode is pretty special, guys.
This
Indeed,
comment is powered by Open Mandriva. Wow, shots have been fired out of the gate.
out of the gate, dudes,
Okay.
come on. And it's coming from none other than Josh, whom I'm gonna see tonight on the next podcast.
Yeah, look
Uh,
at you. You're a regular social butterfly. Steve's everywhere.
Yeah, and so is Josh. We're like kindred spirits.
Yeah, welcome Josh. How you doing?
Still on Gen 2, I see.
Also watching this city.
Watching this in Emacs. Expect the unexpected from Josh. He's
Emacs, I like Emacs. It always makes me think of the first terminal Easter egg I ever discovered when they hid the Emacs Tetris in OS X.
oh, really? I wasn't there when I only started
Is
using
that
Linux
is
2
that
years ago.
still a thing?
I guess Josh will let us know.
Well, I mean, he'd have to have a copy of Mac OS 10 point whatever.
Tetris.
Tetris mode, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I cheated on XeroLinux a little bit this week.
Yeah. And Vaxry says watching this on
Nintendo DS browser. Okay. So yeah, I tried Nobara for a second time. Nobara 37.
Yeah, Nobara 37. I was surprised. The last time I used it, it was still using the ugly and should not be
Oh,
ever
the
used.
the Anaconda installer.
Yeah,
Yeah, you'll be
so
happy to know that they replaced it with Calamares.
as they should have.
It's very quick, native ButterFS.
Yep. Yeah, Fedora is ButterFS, so yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty good in that respect. And they got me very excited with all the taglines and stuff on the website about making it easier for streamers and content creators. And I was like, ooh, because I could always use an easier life. Uh,
Well,
but
this. Yeah. How, my question is, how is the OBS experience in Nobara?
well, that's what I'm going to get to because it is a mixed bag. Here's what
Okay.
happens. It's Wayland by default, which is good in some respects. The game capture plugin works almost as well as it does on Windows, which is really cool.
Okay.
Uh,
That's good.
yeah. So where things start to turn is because it's
Hmm.
Wayland, you lose support for CEF minimal.
Well, you can log in using X11.
Right, and I did that. Nobara, it did not. No. It was definitely running Wayland.
No, it's running Wayland because that's one of its strong points.
Yeah. Sorry, I know I'm congested. I'm getting over a cold, but
It's okay.
so yeah. And I started having all kinds of problems. The game capture wouldn't always pick up the game I wanted, and it felt like I was trying to switch between using Wayland and having the games work and everything, or using x.org and having my browser docs and my stuff in OBS so that I could interact with people while I was live.
Ah,
I did
okay.
not figure out a way around CEF minimal. You can customize even with it being GNOME, so cool on that one.
Wait.
Oh
For
boy.
some, it disconnected. Reconnection successful. Okay, start back 2 minutes ago. A minute ago. 1 minute ago.
Okay. So that's wild. 2 minutes ago, we're back. What is the last thing you guys heard?
Sorry, connection issues. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, we're back. What did we lose?
And you're gone. But anyway, it's okay. As long as we get your audio. Your audio's gone.
I went ahead and I reset everything since we had lost connection. I didn't want to be out of sync.
Okay.
All right. I didn't right. Okay, thank you. So yeah, I did not get a compromise going with Nobara. So like there was a lot of cool stuff I liked for new users. There were a lot of hand holding things.
Yeah, that's what Nobara does very well. They got a
Yeah.
good documentation on their website as well.
I would definitely point somebody who is new to streaming and gaming on Linux to Nobara. Like it's got that if they don't want to be very technical. I don't think it has as much under the hood as say Zero.
Well, when it comes to customization, it's if you go with KDE version, it's stock KDE. But if you go with the GNOME edition, there's a lot of similarities with my Zero G, where
Yeah,
Glorious Eggroll used Arc menu, but instead of putting it on the top, he put it on the bottom.
right. Steve, you're off by about 200 milliseconds, they said.
Oh, that's T16. He's got an eye for that. About 200 millisecond
Yeah, we're
after.
about ready to bring on.
Okay. That's an easy fix.
Yep,
Last time I had it at 450. It was good.
yep. So I definitely think that Nobara's got promise. I find it exciting. I'm gonna play with it some more, but CEF minimal being broken with Wayland is a major pain, and it was supposed to be what got me past NVFBC being dropped after version 27.
It's not dropped. They're still patching it, but
No, but NVFBC does not work in 28 or 29.
yeah, I know. Not yet. They're still working.
Well, I mean, it's been two versions, like, not even just point releases, but two full-on versions. We're at 29 now.
Yeah, I know. It's kind of weird. Same
So
thing
yeah,
for
not a
another
perfect showing, but yeah.
one last question before we get to our special thing today.
Oh yeah,
Uh, but does StreamFX work on version 29 on Nobara?
I did not try it.
Because officially they didn't release the updated version. It's only for supporters, the alpha version of 0.12.
Windows is better SMH. For
Uh,
streaming games right now, we are still at a point where I would have to say that's true.
Same here. But since my connection is my connection, I don't. It's the same on Windows as it is on Linux for me. So, but yeah, StreamFX needs to get updated because a lot of streamers love that thing.
Yeah, but I definitely am probably going to be playing with it as soon as the podcast is over. Actually,
And
Mac OS is better for gaming. That's a
yeah,
hefty thing to say.
yeah,
I don't know
since
how I feel about that. What are you
nah,
playing?
wait, Mac OS is better for gaming. Don't forget, Mac OS, games on Mac OS are using Wine in the backend.
Oh, that's true.
They're containerized Wine games.
Or yeah, you remember crossover? I think
Yeah,
they're
this
still a
is
thing. It's wine,
yeah.
yeah.
Hippie Daddy uses crossover to play games on
Okay, but yeah, I
So
did not get to try StreamFX.
Yeah, StreamFX is still in alpha. Anyway, without delaying too much, today we have a special guest who's going to be joining us, and it's none other than Vaxry, the genius, as I
Oh
like
yeah,
to call him, behind Hyprland, the window manager slash compositor. It's more like a compositor rather than a
yeah,
full-on Windows manager,
yeah.
window manager. So I'm gonna invite him right in and switch it up a little bit.
Very, very
Vaxry,
exciting.
Vaxry, you can unmute
I
yourself right
have
now.
I have to
Hello.
kneel. They said, "Oh boy." Voxer, you have fanfare in the stream chat already. They're
I know,
excited for you.
they pinged everyone in the Hyper Development Discord server with the
Oh,
link.
nice. Yeah, I see the trolls. They're looking for Jimmy Kimmel.
Hey, Vaxry, welcome
Very, very
to
cool. Welcome to the podcast.
Hello, great to be here.
just for the uninitiated, introduce yourself, and we'll pick it up from there.
I am Vaxry, so that's it for the introduction. I made Hyperland. I'm known for that. It's a Wayland compositor, as we call it. So, window manager, compositor, display server, everything in one. It's a dynamic tiling compositor that does not sacrifice on the visuals. So we just pack in as many cool stuff as we can. Blur, random corners, shadows, animations, all you want. But it's also very customizable, so you can really tailor the experience to your specific needs. And I've been working on that for the past like 9 months or something. Like since
Only 9 months, and you're at a point where everybody's drooling over it.
Yeah.
Well, not yet
When you're good,
everybody.
you're good.
Linus Tech Tips has not yet made a video about Hyperland.
Oh, I know will he, knowing his history with Linux.
Yeah, his Linux skills are debatable.
Yeah, everything that has Linux on it that he touches decides to explode.
Oh boy.
Pop OS.
Steve, oh no. Man, we took shots at Open Mandriva out the gate. Now we're after Pop OS. Who else are we going to piss off today? Steve, your mic's quiet.
My mic's
Hyperland is bloated but good. Hyperland
Linux Tech Tips. Josh is going to make a Hyperland video. Oh. Man, this chat is out of pocket today.
Yeah. How is my audio now? Is it better? What?
Vaxry is my waifu.
Okay.
Okay. So yeah, I did see that Arch and Arch-based distros are one of the easier places to set up Hyperland. You want to talk about that? Why did you choose Arch as one of the easier places to do it, or did it just work out that way?
It's probably because Hyperland just uses the most bleeding edge version of WL roots, which depends on very bleeding edge versions of Wayland protocols and libdrm and stuff like that. So basically, if you don't have a rolling release distro, you would probably have to recompile half of your system just to get Hyperland running. Although I have heard some people actually manage to install it on other distros. Fedora is usually one of the easiest. Most of the time it just works, but sometimes you have to compile libdrm on your own.
Right.
And I've seen someone actually get it working on Ubuntu, but they like recompiled like pretty much the entire Wayland stack was compiled from source because everything in Ubuntu packages was just outdated. So you had to recompile Wayland protocols, WL roots, Hyperland, then libdrm.
Right, and
GCC.
because then I would see like Wire Plumber and Pipewire and all that would have to follow it, yeah?
You don't have to recompile WirePlumber and like PipeWire because they're not dependent on like the Wayland version. They run separately,
Okay.
but a lot of things you have to recompile, and compiling GCC can take quite a while.
It can.
Yeah. I tried it once. Didn't want to try it again. But another thing about Hyprland is the fact that for some reason it works better on nVidia than others, other compositors, basically. And
Go
how
figure. We have something working better on nVidia and Linux now.
in Wayland, yeah. And what do you think about the nVidia patch on the AUR? I think it's not. Was it made by you or?
No, it wasn't made by me because I have ditched NVIDIA the day
Oh,
Hyprland started. I just sold my old 1080 Ti and never had any product from NVIDIA ever again.
oh, lucky
So the
you.
patches are not made by me, not maintained by me, so I can't really
What do you?
vouch for them even working or working better. But I find it pretty annoying that on NVIDIA you have to do all these annoying patches and kernel arguments and stuff just to get Wayland working. And on AMD you just kind of execute it, and it just runs. No
Yeah.
Yeah, it just
questions
works.
asked.
Yeah, so that's why I want. That's what I wanted to know because I found this package on the AUR and I added it to my repository because I want to mess with Hyprland myself. I added Hyprland Git on your recommendation.
Yeah.
I added Waybar for the bar,
Mhm.
Git as well, and I added the NVIDIA patch. Uh,
Yeah, you have to have the NVIDIA patch and like some kernel argument to like force mode
yeah,
setting or something, and it
yeah.
should work.
So
The
it's
kernel,
it's in the Xero repos now.
yes.
Nice, nice.
Because I want to mess with it. I didn't do put them there for anybody else to mess with them unless you want to mess with it. But I put them there so I can install them without having to build them on whenever I need to use them. But the the uh, the NVIDIA patches I included just for the heck of it, just in case. And Waybar, it's because it's the recommended bar to use with
Yep.
Hyprland.
Well,
But
in Hyperland you can use really two different bars. You can use Waybar. Of course, you can use many more, but like there are two that are like good feature-rich options. It's Waybar, which is just easy to get going, and then you have EWW, which is just like kind of do-it-yourself bar. So you basically code your own bar. The only
what?
downside of EWW is that it doesn't have a tray. I mean, there is a PR for a tray, but it kind of works like sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't, and it's
Wait,
quite
it's
buggy.
called ew.
Yeah, it's called ew, and the config language is called yuck.
It's great. I love it.
This is creative naming right there.
Yeah,
So
Linux people in naming.
it reminds me again of the rat poison window manager.
um, yeah, someone mentioned rat poison at some point on the server, but when I looked it up, it looks like it's from the 1920s. So yeah, there's that. So what do you think? Okay, I want to ask you, Vaxry, a question. Since
Mhm.
the Hyprland is a compositor, WM, and all that all in one, and I'm new to window managers and stuff like that,
Mhm.
I am confused right now. If I want settings, like a GUI for settings, everyone chooses the XFCE settings panel for window managers. Is it okay to use something else? I'm new, so
I don't know why people choose XFCE settings. I use KDE settings, maybe just because I like KDE. But when it comes to settings, like so, usually those settings have two different types of settings. They have settings that affect like the system in general, and then they have the settings that usually affect the desktop environment. And when it comes to at least KDE, the settings that affect the desktop environment will just kind of disappear from the settings app. So you can still use like Bluetooth or themes or Wi-Fi or whatever, but you can't like change the behavior of Windows and stuff because
Oh, they
K1 is not running.
disappear. I didn't know that.
At least in KDE, I've never used XFCE settings, but I use KDE settings. And
XFCE settings are basically a web app, basically that has icons with CSS and stuff in the back end.
you definitely need more Electron apps. Yes, that's what we need now.
That's why I'm confused. I was like, okay, I don't like to use Sonar and those kind of file managers.
Yeah, I actually saw a lot
Dolphin.
of the setups, the setups on GitHub where people are showing their
It's always
Hyprland.
Sonar. It's always
It is always Thunar. Yeah.
I would rather go Dolphin. Okay,
I
know
use,
it's
I
gonna...
use Dolphin. It's just
Yeah,
fine.
think about it this way. It's like where people either use GTK-based settings apps and file managers or stuff like that, and or they use QT-based stuff. If you use QT, don't mix and match with GTK.
Right, you're going to have a bad time.
But my question now follows up. So you're saying Hyprland works well with Qt-based apps, but not KDE as a desktop?
Well, it is not KDE, so it won't work with KDE. But yeah, it works with Qt and GTK. Like Waybar's GTK, and it just works.
Yeah, so the reason I'm asking is because some people install XeroLinux and they want to try Hyprland. They install it on top of XeroLinux, which is KDE. So in that, when that is done, it's a recipe for problems or disaster, because KDE doesn't deal with Wayland as well as GTK does. So yeah, that's the reason I asked. But and I wanted to ask about Hypr. You mentioned on another podcast that Hypr is now a dormant project, which is the X11 version of Hyprland.
Yep.
You're no longer porting anything from Hyprland to Hypr.
I never did. That was the best part. I never did. I was working on Hypr. I started in like November, December 2021. And then as soon as I got my new AMD GPU, well, it was used and I paid way too much for it. I just kind of stopped developing Hypr. My original goal was to just get Hyprland up to feature parity with Hypr and then just go from there. But I kind of got it to feature parity and then just forgot about Hypr and just kept developing Hyprland because way more people were interested in Hyprland than Hypr. Like, pretty much nobody cared about Hypr. So I was just like, yeah, I'm going to just focus on Hyprland and just go from there.
People seem like they're just ready to ditch X.org.
I mean, yeah, that's probably a good idea.
Not me. Not yet. I want everything to work perfectly. I don't want a single hiccup. So
if you want everything to work perfectly, then you should
not
switch
perfect.
to Windows.
How dare you? I've had 3 blue screens this week.
No, but
Windows
seriously.
far from works perfectly. There's some echo with the audio we're hearing. Who do we have it coming from?
Hey, although I honestly, I dislike Windows just as much as you do, I kind of grin when people say that their computer blue screens often, because back when I used Windows, I didn't have blue screens like almost at all. Like I would have a blue screen like every year or something. Like that was pretty much nothing. And I've had my Arch install run out of 32 gigabytes of RAM and completely freeze more times than I've had a blue screen. Yeah, sometimes it just happens. I've had a couple methods to actually run out of RAM. It happens on
That's
my laptop often because I have only 16 gigs. Um, but so on my desktop, I had two methods of running out of RAM pretty quickly. One of them, I don't know what happened, but if you would install certain wine like packages together, so like you can do wine tricks and then install packages, right? If you would install certain wine packages together, whenever you'd launch this wine prefix, it would just start like consuming as much RAM as it can, and it would eat 30 gigs of RAM in like 5 seconds. So that's one way. Um,
was it log files just running rampant? What happened?
no clue. No, it was like when you install like DX DX9 and something, it would just
Yeah,
die. I would just see the RAM usage be like within 5 seconds be like from 6 gigs to like 31, and then just everything froze.
yeah.
Um,
Wow.
and the other way I found was when I was playing Minecraft, and I had like 5 or 6 instances running of bots in Minecraft. It was using like 24 gigs of RAM, but Java was just slowly leaking memory. So like when they were like running for like four. So,
Yeah,
so yeah, that was fun. Those are my two methods of running out of RAM on my desktop. On my laptop, I just have to open enough stuff, and 16 gigs is just gone.
yeah. Do you have your personal Hyperland setup on
No,
GitHub for other people to copy if they want to be lazy?
no, I never publish my dot files. My dot files are mine. Top secret, kept private. Like the CIA even can't get them.
Yeah, sorry guys. I was trying to get the audio to work,
Gotcha.
but
Uh,
but
what are
yeah,
your thoughts?
I am going to say one thing. The I had a trail of thought I wanted to ask until the audio stopped working. But uh, what do you think about all these dot files being shared online, being so similar? Everywhere I look on video on YouTube talking about Hyprland, they're all using similar dot files. They take everybody else's dot files, they modify the keybinds, and they use them.
If
Keybinds
you,
and wallpaper and call it a day.
Yeah,
oh yeah,
like restart the stack.
if you go on to the Hyperland wiki, we have example configurations tab, and we have a couple configs that are kind of different from each other. They're not that different, but they are kind of different. Like we have like 4 or 5 examples. Um, Although, yeah, many of them just copy dot file from these, because I tried to pick like the original dot files, so like dot files that actually people made themselves. But there is actually a pretty easy way to stop people from doing that, and that's what we did when we did our ricing competition. Because like a month ago or something, we held a ricing competition on our Discord with
Nice.
monetary prizes in the form of
Ooh.
Discord Nitro, because I'm not gonna send money to people because taxes and stuff. Um, so we actually in the rules just told people that they just can't copy other people's dot files. That was a very easy way to get a lot of very original looking and interesting submissions. Of course, some of them were roasted to oblivion for being absolutely horrible and like an absolute eyesore. Um, but yeah, a lot of them were like actually like pretty creative and inventive. And so for the next one, we're just planning to like give out more Discord Nitro codes, because it will just incentivize people to like make even cooler stuff. We always have like a theme going on, and prizes and rules, and then we have the jury that usually is me and other people, and we give points.
That's great. That's a good way to incentivize people to create rices.
To create actually something original for once, and not just copy someone else's dot files and call them yours.
Exactly. And I'm like, since I started before I started XeroLinux, I was a KDE rising crazy man. I created 5 rices, of which 3 only survived. But when it comes to
Long live Zero Suite.
yeah, but rising KDE is simple enough compared to window managers, like where you have to write everything, the colors, the spacing, the padding, the whatever. On KDE, you just do it visually, drag and drop via a mouse, get it the way you want, and just find the files that have been affected, zip them up, and you got yourself a rice.
Yeah.
But when it comes to a Hyprland with the animations, with the built-in animations, are the built-in animations configurable?
Yeah, of course. You can change the speed, the curve, and even the style for some animations. Like for Windows, you can have them slide or pop in. And even for pop in, you can specify the percentage from which they pop in, so it looks more like GNOME, for example. Yeah, yeah, they're very customizable.
And you can randomize them as well, so you don't have the same animation every time you open a window.
Yeah, you can randomize them by scripting, yeah.
By scripting. Here's another thing that has been holding me back from using stuff like that. But when I saw Hyprland, I was like, I need to get into them at some point. So Hyprland is a good excuse. And it has been a good excuse for everyone to jump onto the window manager / compositors type of thing.
Yeah.
But
what do you,
yeah,
what do
go
you
ahead.
think about how they look? The everybody's configs and how people are setting it up. What do you like? What do you like about the general feel?
Was that
I
question
love
to
how
me
it's
or?
both like I love the smoothness of it, and it looks like it looks very KDE inspired. Was that intentional?
No, didn't really think about KDE. Tiling
What's
window manager.
The terminals and stuff like that. It's very smooth in
And a
a
lot of people
KDE
use
feeling kind of way.
a lot of people use Foot, and that's actually a GNOME terminal. So I
what's
don't
it
know,
called?
Foot kind of gained Foot. It kind of gained popularity because apparently it's just really fast.
There's something called Foot, Fish.
Yeah, it's just
Uh,
Foot terminal.
there's Fish. There's Foot. There's what are they gonna come up? What name are they gonna come up with next?
Finger.
No, I was thinking along the lines of the JJ.
Yeah, that would be the only one the developer would ever see.
O'Neill.
Foot is not GNOME. It's independent. Josh
Yeah.
says.
Oh, oh.
And I'm seeing that it's a clone of i3, not KDE.
I swear to God, there have been so many people that called Hyprland an i3 clone that we actually banned it on our Discord server. Like, you will get muted if you say that Hyprland is a clone of i3.
Then, if you think it's a clone of i3, then all window managers are clones of each other.
Well,
Yeah.
there's no original thought anymore anyway. So,
With the exception of Hyperland, it's original.
well, of course.
There's nothing like it, no matter how much you try. If you want to get close to Hyperland animations wise, you can take animations from anywhere and just shove them in any window manager and call yourself a clone of Hyperland. But
that I guess would that get us muted on the Discord too if we said that we cloned Hyperland?
Oh. I mean, technically saying anything can get you muted on the Discord because.
Oh boy.
I mean, I hold
Sounds
the
like the
button.
Wild West over there.
Yeah, it definitely is.
And today on another podcast today we're going to be talk about something called what's it called, Blend OS, but I'm not going to be talking about it here. It's just everybody is taking things from everybody and calling it a day. So
yeah,
I will just leave it at that. But nobody realizes that Hyprland is basically doing things better than Wayland themselves are. Like Vaxry told me before yesterday that Wayland sometimes the main Wayland big daddies sometimes just shrug everyone away. Okay, you proposed a fix? No, 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 no. We only apply what we discover. Bye bye. So is that true? What do you think about that, Vaxry? Why do you think they're doing that?
It is very, very corporate when it comes to Wayland protocols. And although I can't say like that they have, at least from what I've seen, directly shrugged someone off as no, we're not gonna do this because your idea is stupid. There have been some moments where it was kind of weird. So there was recently, finally, after like 2 years, the tearing control protocol has been merged, which basically in Wayland you have forced vsync, which kind of sucks for gamers. And KDE and GNOME, as far as I know, they had just like a toggle that you could toggle so that you would get tearing just like you would back on X11. But there was no way for an application to like say like, hey, I should probably be torn. Because that would just be the easy way, right? A game would just say to the compositor, hey, I probably want to be torn. And if the conditions are met, so like the game is in full screen, there isn't anything else, it's just gonna be torn, just like it would on Windows. So someone proposed the protocol, and the first comment was from Simon, which is, I think he's the owner of Wayland Protocols. He was like, that's a bad idea. Because Wayland is designed to be frame perfect. And no, your idea, no, is bad. Which obviously attracted a lot of negative comments, but then suddenly, after some time, his attitude changed towards being like, oh yeah, this is completely fine because it's only gonna be games. Totally not like the author pointed that out 20 times, that it's only gonna be games, so like everything else is still gonna be VSync, still gonna look good. And as far as I know, the reason why he changed his attitude is that Valve paid him to do so. Because Valve wants to run games on Wayland. And Valve just went to Simon, was like, here's $50,000, and like, heck off, we want this protocol. That's why it got ultimately merged. And I think that a similar thing is currently happening with the caller management and HDR. It's been just laying dormant for like over a year with like tons of discussions, but like nothing tangible. As far as I know, Valve and some other companies are actually starting to pay developers to like, please get HDR working, guys, please. And we are getting some progress. I mean, HDR works in the TTY if you're running an app that does support it, but not yet in anything else. It's not going to come to X11, but it is scheduled to come to Wayland sometime soon, trademark.
Trademark, yeah, soon-ish. Yeah, when I saw HDR, I was like, who cares? I'm like, most of the people today, gamers, are gaming on non-HDR monitors. It's the minority who are gaming on TV, HDR supported TVs, and but I can understand that HDR incentivizes people to buy more SteamDecks because once connected to a HDR supported display, they could get HDR. And the marketing that's happening on Twitter, because I'm still part of Twitter, is that the guys from Valve are advertising, oh, there you go, HDR is working ish. So it's on the pipeline. It's coming sooner rather than later. I would understand when it comes to the Steam Deck, yes, because people are going to connect it to the TVs and play. But when it comes to computer gaming, it's more the minority than the majority that can.
Yeah, well, understand, but it's just that we're currently getting into the territory where we're just trying to fill the smaller gaps in the Wayland protocol. Like when I was starting Hyprland, we had way bigger problems. We didn't have global keybinds. Now well, we do, but we're still waiting for the apps to properly support it. But we didn't have global keybinds. Um, like for example, on WA roots, window sharing still didn't work. We had to fix it on our own, by the way, in Hyprland because Wayland. Um, uh, we didn't have tearing. We didn't have like normal protocols that someone would expect. But like most of the things that people expect to work on Wayland are just like bad ideas now. But amongst some of them are just like things that people sometimes use and we gotta accommodate them, like HDR. Some people just have those HDR monitors and we just have to do something about them. But if you don't have an HDR monitor, it doesn't matter because like the more important things have already been addressed and we're now just in the stage of waiting for implementations. It's like people were shitting on the fact that, global keybinds, Wayland doesn't work, but they now work. It's just that pretty much no app yet has implemented them.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
that's why
that's
my implementation in Hyprland is also getting slow because I do not feel the rush because nobody really implemented them yet.
yeah, and this is my argument. This is the argument I use a lot. Don't We shouldn't blame Wayland as much as we should blame the applications not keeping up.
Yeah, just that companies will understandably do not put as much R&D into Linux as they do into Windows or
Yeah, of
Mac
course,
OS.
because
If there is a new Windows update and there is a new great protocol that would make your life easier, applications are gonna start supporting it within a month. And on Linux, if there is a new protocol that adds amazing functionality on Wayland, applications are going to support it. Well, if they're open source, then in a month. If they're not open source but have like an issue tracker or something, then I don't know, maybe in half a year. But if they're fully closed source, then like never.
well, they need incentive, and Linux is not enough. It does not give them enough incentive to monetary incentive to.
Yeah, because we still have not a lot of people on Linux.
Yeah. So
Even darn macOS has more users than Linux, which is sad.
yeah, I am one of the macOS users. I use macOS, but yeah, it's especially drivers wise. Like I don't have a control panel like OpenRGB that everybody uses to control their RGB. It doesn't support my keyboard. My keyboard is left in the dust. I talked to the developers of OpenRGB. This is their problem. They tell you, oh, okay, here's how you can help us implement your keyboard, and then they disappear. I've had a ticket open for the past 3 months, ghosted, completely ghosted. I told them I need, because the way you do it is they send you a Windows app that you have to download on Windows. I'll explain. You download on Windows, you launch your keyboard control panel that controls your RGB on Windows. And that application detects the interrupts between the keyboard and Windows, so they can. I need to give them that so they can translate it into something Linux can understand. So I told them I don't understand. This app is like opening a file with hex code. So I was like, I don't understand your app. I don't know what you want me to do. They completely ghosted me ever since.
Yeah, the
So
exact same thing happened with Leyland to me. I'm
yeah,
currently we're doing the protocol for global keybinds because
it,
KDE already has them. GNOME are deciding whether doing it is a good idea or whether they should remove scaling from GTK
Steve,
first.
you troll. I see you.
Um,
whenever something in KDE beats something else, I'm like, that's makes me happy because I know I chose the right desktop environment.
Yeah, so KDE has them already. GTK are thinking whether to implement this first or to remove scaling from GTK first. Because in GNOME, more features equals bad. So, and in WL roots, it's not going to happen. It just can't, because there is no protocol for the desktop portal to communicate with the compositor. So
that's where
in
the Hyprland
yeah, we in
have their
Hyprland,
own desktop protocol.
yes, because we in Hyprland make our own desktop make our own protocols to interact between the desktop portal and the compositor, to fill in the gaps that KDE or GNOME just have it. For example, window sharing, but W roots can't have. We just make our own protocols. And we currently, I made a merge request for a global keybinds protocol. And we had some discussion. We made it into a shape that's pretty usable. And then someone suggested that maybe I should try and make a merge request to like the official Wayland protocols, because if we get it to official Wayland protocols, maybe the WR portal, so the base portal, can use it. And I was reluctant, but they said, to go onto the IRC and ask, because the guy apparently asked, and there hasn't been much resistance. I went onto the IRC. I wrote a message like, "Hey guys, we're making a protocol for global keybinds at Hyperlab protocols, and would anyone be interested in this actually going to EXT? Because if so, then I'll just change the merge request, right?" I got ghosted. For
Yeah.
2 days there was no messages, and then just people started talking about something else. So yeah, state of Wayland. If you want to make something, don't.
Yeah. Don't. It's it's a big project that you're working on. It's not something small.
Yeah.
People should know that. They should not expect to write a few lines of code. Oh yeah, I got something that works on Wayland. No. To end our meeting with you, Vaxry, because I'm going to let the viewers know that we're going to go much more in depth on the upcoming episode of XeroTalk in March, because February we're going to have Matt from the Linux Cast. March, we're going to have a special episode with Vaxry here, and we're going to update the users on anything that happens from now till then. And it's going to be a much more technical discussion.
Yeah.
Today
Big
it's
stuff
just
coming up. Just a
big
little
stuff
taste.
coming. Yeah, and today was just a teaser. Thank you, Vaxry, for being part of this episode. To end it, I'm going to say congratulations on something huge.
Absolutely.
And
Thank you.
I see more and more amazing things happening in the Hyprland area, because you sure are showing them where things that count, to showing Wayland the things that count, the important things. I think you're gonna beat them to the punch, hardware support wise. Asterisk nVidia asterisk.
Yeah. Hey, thank you for caring about nVidia at all.
Well, it's not, as he said, it's not by him, but
Not
still,
official. I'm not like
yeah,
Sway developers, like my next card won't be NVIDIA.
yeah. If you get an NVIDIA, so you get to work firsthand on the NVIDIA cards instead of having somebody else do it. But thank you very much, and hope to see you on XeroTalk. And next time I would have messed around with Hyprland myself, and I would start to understand a little bit what you're talking about.
Thanks for having me.
All right, take care, my friend.
Thank you.
All right. Okay. Ooh.
All right. Super
Back.
super cool dude.
Yeah, super cool dude. I'm gonna tell you one thing. Hyprland got me interested in window managers. And no, before users start asking, there will be, not by me, a XeroLinux window manager version or Hyprland version. Not by me, but
Yeah.
we are
You
open.
saw the chat was blowing up with when is there going to be a Hyper G, right?
Yeah. That's why I'm answering. Not by me, but we are open for community editions for XeroLinux. Anybody who's willing to put in the work, you're more than welcome. I will help you wherever I can to learn how to build XeroLinux and what you need to replace with what, and then you go from there. You pick up from there. HyprXero, yeah. Josh, not Hyper G, it's HyprXero. Yeah, that's what I wanted to call it, HyprXero, actually, if it were ever going to be by me. But for me, I am interested in window managers to do them on my own, for myself, in a
Are you
virtual
going to
machine.
make your own?
I am going to make my own Hyprland version. It might happen, but for me, it's not. It won't be public. It won't be public. So yeah, Teddy, HyprXero. Okay.
Nice.
But it's going to be for me, just to mess around with window managers, start learning how to use the keyboard over the mouse.
Yep. Keyboard shortcuts are so efficient.
Not yet for me. Because my keyboard, every time I fling a key, the key jumps from the keyboard and it lands on my bed. So
Okay.
My keys are starting to get loose. I need a new keyboard. But before I get a new keyboard, I have some good news.
Good news is good news.
If I reach the 1,000 euros on my donation, fundraiser, whatever you want to call it, I might have a chance to get a SteamDeck. But not for XeroLinux. It's a SteamDeck because after all this hard work, I need to give myself something. Because I like, you and I love retro games.
We do.
And
that's not going to change.
Yeah, and I want to turn it into my retro handheld. The first thing I'm going to do if I get a SteamDeck is uproot SteamOS and replace it with what's it called, Batocera. It's a Linux-based distro, but no desktop, no nothing. Just a screen where you scroll through your using emulation station.
Teddy's laughing at you again.
Remind me of GNOME being for you, lol.
Remember, he's telling you said the same thing about there will never be a GNOME edition of Xero.
No. This has nothing to do with that. This is because this is not something I would be using on a daily basis. I'm not a keyboard-centric person.
Yeah.
I am a mouse-centric person, although I can use Hyprland with a keyboard, with a mouse. But I still prefer KDE. KDE is my thing. KDE, I tried to use GNOME. It is good and everything. I have nothing against GNOME. It's
you need too much customization. It doesn't make you happy.
No, Hyprland, you can customize it the way you and even more than you can customize KDE, but it's all coding and editing config files and CSS and stuff like this and stuff like that. I don't do that. If it's not drag and drop, it doesn't work for me. But that's not to say I won't dabble in window managers.
Oh, sure.
Dabble in them because we're all hungry to learn new things.
Absolutely, yeah.
And my subject for this episode, because it's about time to start wrapping up, my subject for this episode was Hyprland. That's why I got Vaxry over. As for my app of the week, there is no app of the week. I haven't been using anything. I've been so busy with family and stuff.
Yeah.
But there is something. My vacation is over at the end of the month. I stopped.
Get back to work.
I need to get back to work on XeroLinux, yeah, and Zero G. And there might be an update to Zero G with Zero KDE. I'm not going to wait till GNOME 44 in March. There will be another version in March.
So
there will be a version.
Tweaks, or is it just bug fixes and stuff?
Bug fixes. And the only thing that I'll be adding to Zero G is Pop Shell. Because I've seen in Nobara that it works.
Yeah.
So
Nobara was a lot of fun, and I wish I could, I wish we could talk to, the other king of the gaming world, GE, see if we could get some of those packages over to Zero.
Glorious Aggro.
Yeah. Can we get him on the podcast?
I'm working on that. But no. Here's the thing. Guests on the podcast will be few and far between because I leave the special guests for the XeroTalk Patreon-only show.
Yeah.
It gives people to join, more incentive for people to join Patreon.
Yeah. If you don't catch
Patreon.
it live, you gotta be a patron.
No, it's a Patreon only. We record it, then I upload it to Patreon. It's a Patreon only thing. It's not catch. It's never gonna be live. I might do 1 or 2 live ones to see, to get the interaction with the users. But it's more like a recorded thing because I have ready-made questions and less interruptions. But Glorious Eggroll is on the in the plans for a future episode of XeroTalk.
That is super cool.
Yeah, but to finish, Proton GE is used to be on my repos, but I removed it because it was huge. It was like 300, 400 megabytes. And I removed it also because you can install it into bottles, into Lutris, into all that. Or you can just download it using Proton Up.
Yeah, that's how I do it.
So why have it on a repo?
No, I meant more his version of OBS and things like that.
Oh, I tried.
We tried together for a while.
Yeah, we couldn't find the RPM to convert to. He puts his files. His version of OBS is basically a regular version of OBS where he just includes a lot of plugins pre-compiled.
Yeah, like the experience on Nobara for OBS was better where the things worked. And, congrats to all the work he put in for that.
And the kernel patches as well. He put in a lot of work into kernel patching and nVidia patching and all that.
But Linux gaming would not be where it is without him.
Exactly.
Full stop.
Yeah, well, I tried Nobara, and you know that I did. But
you were the one that told me about it.
Yeah, Fedora as a whole, I'm not pointing fingers at Glorious Eggroll or anything. It's Fedora itself feels heavier than Arch. It feels heavier. I don't know how to explain it. You have to use it to understand. But if you use Arch with KDE, it's completely different than using Nobara with KDE or Fedora with KDE. If you use Fedora with KDE, you're going to feel that things are not as responsive as on Arch. And I really noticed these things because I've been doing it so long. I noticed that I minimize something, I maximize something, you notice that it's not immediate. On Arch, it's immediate for me. I notice it. So I was like, and the package manager it's being worked on. They said they're going to make it much quicker, and because Fedora's package manager is one of the slowest out there. It's a known fact. So they need to do better their Anaconda. They need to get rid of update that, and they're
Yeah.
working on that as well. And I was happy to see that they're welcoming to new desktop environments to the family. Like last week we mentioned it. What was it? The one you like? The GNOME one.
Budgie? Oh yeah, Budgie.
Budgie. They included Budgie. They added a new window manager. They're welcoming. But Fedora has another issue where if you download the official Fedora, your codecs won't be present. You have to download them yourself because of
Right.
licensing issues.
Right.
Glorious Eggroll in Nobara included those out of the box.
It's
so.
a really polished way that they walk you through it. If you again a new user, there were things that I just did on my own, but the initial experience would be very good at welcoming somebody to Linux.
Yeah, and the way Nobara does things, I used it for a week,
Yeah.
and it was good. But because of this thing, because this heft to it that I started feeling, I started getting annoyed. So I was like, I need to go back to Arch. And another thing that stopped me from using Fedora is it's not as easy to create packages, RPMs, not as easy as creating your repositories, your package repository or your Hypr repositories.
Yeah.
And for each package, you have to create a separate repository. If I had 100 packages, I would have ended up with 100 different repositories. I'm like, dude, what the hell? It's not my workflow. Arch is
Right.
more my workflow because I control every aspect of it. With Fedora, it's not as much.
Yeah.
With that being said, thank you guys for another great episode, for being part of this crazy shenanigans.
It's always a pleasure, Steve. I should be done with packing, and next week, we'll put
Hopefully
another one in the can.
Next week, hopefully from the new place.
Yeah.
All right, and guys, Zero Gen 2, Joshua. Josh. Zero Gen 2. Now here, it's a firm never. It's a firm never.
Oh man,
It's a firm never. Oh,
So,
Josh keeps throwing things at us. But guys, this episode is going to be edited and re-uploaded, and I'm going to add chapters. If you notice, the last episode I added chapters. Because if you don't add chapters, people are just gonna watch. No chapters, I'm gonna throw it and not gonna watch it. So,
yeah, well, all right.
all right,
Trying to
guys.
think of what my app of the week was. It was probably just Nobara as a whole, exploring it.
For me, it was since if I want to throw something out there, I would say Nextcloud. Everybody already knows what Nextcloud is. I have my own cloud server now on Linode, but yeah, I've been messing with it for the past few days. It's been good so far.
There's one final thought that I want to put out into the world, and I discovered this and I'm mad about it. Sorry.
Okay, go ahead.
We need to see. Now, this will be polarizing too because it's Streamlabs. And, Streamlabs is not exactly inventive. They've stolen a ton of things. So the least they could do is port over to Linux because they are written in Electron but don't work on Linux. Go figure.
Yeah, and Streamlabs OBS you showed me last week. After
They had
last
to
week's
take
call.
OBS out of the name because people finally listened to original OBS Studio, and now they have to be Streamlabs desktop, which is cool. I'm glad that they
Yeah.
can't just steal the name anymore.
Yeah, but Streamlabs is, from what I saw, it's pretty amazing for streamers. You got all the tools built into the app. You don't need to leave the app. You don't need to go download templates from a website, and anything like that. It makes life easier.
It does, certainly for people who don't have the time to do back-end configs. You're right.
Yeah,
I'm sure
but
you
it's
could do a lot of the things in regular OBS, but if you don't have either the time or the experience, it
yeah,
is a packaged solution, sure. But to
yeah,
make
and
something in Electron that only works on Windows is absolutely stupid.
yeah, and that was another thing, that it only works on Windows. So a Linux version would be great, but then again, they're completely
Yeah,
might mess with OBS. I don't know.
who knows?
Anyway, it's time to go. We're at 1 hour 10 minutes.
Yep.
I'll have to edit this because there was interruptions from the connection.
Right.
But I'm gonna
Thanks
keep
again
this.
to Vaxry. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, and thanks for everyone in the chat, especially Josh, keeping it
Yeah,
wholesome and enjoyable, as always. And guys, I'll be seeing you again live on the Linux Cast at 3 p.m. Eastern Time. With that being said,
hey,
take care,
have a good one.
guys. Peace out.